you know, there's a couple of them that can really imitate me. You know, if you really want to have a good interview, get Ezel sometime. You know, he can talk just like me, give speeches just like I give them, you know, talks in the locker room. Everybody kind of has fun with all that. So.
Coach Saban, could you sort of procedurally, you're looking for kickers, place kicker, punter to replace the guys from last year. What do you do in this month? Do you put them in pressure situations and evaluate? How do you get a comfort level at those?
Well, I think right now we're at least to start for the time that we do installation. I think if we changed what our team did in terms of developing our special teams, and it takes us probably about 7 or 8 practices to install all the phases of the kicking game. The punt being the one that takes probably the longest, and it's probably the most important. So until we sort of get all that taught to the rest of the team and make sure we're developing good special teams, then I think we'll probably do a little more to focus on how we can help our young specialists develop and get them more ready to play in the game. But I still think that regardless, I think the decisions need to be, these guys are the best guys. They're going to learn and grow from their experiences that they get in the game, and we can only simulate that so much in practice. But we are going to make an attempt to put them in as many situations that we can to help them sort of be as prepared as they can be for the first game.
Coach, can you just talk a little bit about the growth of Luther Davis and his time here, his 3 years as a player and as an individual?
Well, Luther has done, I think, one of the outstanding jobs of all of our players in terms of making me as a coach proud of what he's accomplished, where he's come from, what he's done, how he's worked, how he's developed. He does a fabulous job in school academically. He's a very good leader on the team, sets a great example, has great moral character and integrity as a person, and I think is going to be very, very successful because of that. He has worked so hard to develop as a player, and he's contributed to our team, and now he has an opportunity to contribute even more in his senior year. And, you know, Luther is probably the prime example of a guy that when he was recruited, we didn't have enough players, so he had to play, but probably would have benefited from a year of development at that time in his career. But, you know, he's worked very, very, very hard, and we're really, really proud of who he is right now and how he can affect our team and the other players that we have on our team with his leadership and example.
Last one. Coach, in terms of offensive philosophy, how locked in are you to what, not just in terms of style, but philosophy, controlling the game the way you guys have the last few years? How locked into that are you, or is it more of a year-to-year decision based on what personnel you might have?
Well, our philosophy is we want to utilize the players that we have on offense. Let's start with that. And, you know, there were times at LSU when we led the league in passing, and there were times when we led the league in rushing. And there were times where we scored a lot of points, and then there were times where we were hard to score on defense. Last year's team was a very good defensive team that controlled the ball on offense. We had a relatively inexperienced quarterback. We didn't want to put the game in his hands, and we were good enough to control it with some very good players like Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson, and a good offensive line, and good enough skill guys outside to keep people on us, but we probably didn't make enough explosive plays passing. Now this year's team may be a little bit different. You know, we're not going to, at least right now, probably don't have the experience on defense to have the expectation that they're going to give up 11 points a game like we did last year. So we may need to score more points. We may need to make more explosive plays. We have a little more experienced quarterback. We have 3 receivers who have gained a lot of experience in the last 2 years in terms of the starts that they have. And those guys need to be more productive, and we need to make them more productive. So I think even from last year to this year, we still have 2 pretty good runners. I still think if the right tackle progresses, we're going to have a decent offensive line. The quarterback is more experienced. I think the young players that we have are talented and developing at quarterback as well. So we should have more diversity in our offense this year because of the personnel that we have. So we don't have a philosophy. You know, I'm not like, you know, when I was at the Houston Oilers, we were going to run the run and shoot no matter what, because the guy running the offense was a run and shoot guy, and he thought that that was the best offense in the world and the only offense that you could score lots of points with. And it was more about that philosophy of the offense than it was about our team, actually. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, because we were pretty good doing it and we had the right kind of people to do it, but that's not how we are. You know, we don't have, we're going to do this no matter what. We feel it's important to control the line of scrimmage and have balance on offense and utilize the personnel that we have. So we're not locked into anything. And I think if you went back and looked at our teams from Michigan State to here in college football, you would see that there's quite a bit of variation in, you know, like we hardly ever use 4 wideouts here. Well, we really haven't had 4 wideouts that, you know, we were deep enough to, we did one year, the first year, because we had pretty good wideouts and experience. But we haven't since. We used that a lot at LSU, but we had like 4 guys that were first-round draft picks or something at wideout. So, you know, we're not locked into anything.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.